Hi, good morning, everyone. Very good morning, all of you. And actually, who you know that there are three different devices that I use, and one of the device was not available. I was started searching this thing. If I don't use this, you won't have a proper voice. So I kept on searching. Yesterday, I was planned. I already planned that I'll go for a class, and when I woke up, I was like, "Where is this device? Where is this device?" So it took 15 minutes. And as I told you that I'll be also studying with these, like the way you are studying. I'll show you my old notebook. This is one of my old notebook. The way I used to write. I'm using my old notebook, very old notebook, just because for this particular thing. And I'm going to read these things for you also. I'm going to read these things for you so that you all can note it down. Though it's not like very important for Gate because Gate will have a basic standard. There's a proper announcement for this thing. नोटिफिकेशन में इन्होंने लिखा है गेट जो है गेट का लेवल है वो थोड़ा इजी रहेगा. Once we are done with gate exam, once we have completed gate exam, we'll go for net. And net का exam in the month of May है, so we'll again go for this 3 a.m. session. And moreover, I have a family function in the month of April. So I don't know whether I'll be able to sit in the net exam or not. Though I really want to sit because I missed the last net exam also because of Corona. So I really want to sit, but let's see what happens because family function is also very important. And if I have to choose from net and the family function, then I will choose family function because that is very important. And moreover, I'm qualified for so many times. So net is not important for my career point of view. So I'm going to make you write some points and please note it down. The very first thing is the club. You can see this. The club. This is very important. So I'm reading it for you. The club, later known as the Literary Club, was founded in 1763-1764. Members were Samuel Johnson, Sir Joshua Reynolds, Oliver Goldsmith, Edmund Burke, and later Thomas Percy, David Garrick, and James Boswell. So we talk about so many clubs, Scribbler clubs, Kit Kit Club, but a lot of people have no idea about that. Samuel Johnson also started his personal club known as the Club. Later, it became Literary Club. So make sure you remember that the club or the literary club started by Samuel Johnson in 1763-64 had some members known as Joshua Reynolds, David Garrick, Oliver Goldsmith, and Edmund Burke, Samuel Johnson himself, Thomas Percy, and James Boswell. These were the members there. Make sure you remember that. Second thing, the Cynics, the group of the Cynics, a school of ancient Greek philosophers founded by Antisthenes. Repeating once again, a school of Greek philosophers founded by Antisthenes, Antisthenes, in the 4th century. They believed that the only realizable aim in life was the fulfillment of the individual by the strict application of reason to practical issues led them to an extreme individualism. The Cynics is the base of empiricism. The group of cynics, the Greek philosophers who started believing in reason, who started believing in logic, who started believing in rationality, it became the base of all the modern scientific theories. Moreover, the first and the most important theory is empiricism. Use your knowledge, use your brain, rely upon your own learning, rely upon on your own brain. Do not stick to the knowledge given to you by others. Now, the next one that we have to read is the next one that we are going to read is the concept of important poetries by Wordsworth, which are generally not talked about. There are some poetries people they don't talk about, but they are by Wordsworth. They are important. The very first thing that you have to remember is the Idiot Boy. The Idiot Boy is a poem in which Johnny Foe, Johny, Johnny Foe is an idiot boy, and Betty Foe is his mother. It's an important work which is dealing with a young boy, Johnny Foe. Idiot Boy, may there is a story of an idiot boy, and the word idiot stands for the character Johnny Foe. It's a poetry by Wordsworth. Another poetry by Wordsworth is Goody Blake and Harry Gill. G-O-O-D-Y, Goody, B-L-A-K-E, Blake, and Harrysill, G-I-L-L, Harry. A poem about an older lady, Goody Blake, who lives alone, Harrysill, in her neighbor, who catches Goody while she was stealing words from the property. Goody prays the god to curse Harry, for he can never be warm, whether he may wear as much clothes, and the curse is true. So Goody Blake is an old lady, and it's a winter time. She needs some wood to be warm. So what she does, she steals some wood from the farm of the this guy Harry Jill. Harry scolds her. Harry insults her for stealing the woods. लकड़ियाँ चुराने के लिए उसको डांटता है, गालियाँ देता है. And होता क्या है? That old lady curses him that you will also feel cold. So even if you wear the jackets, you wear the denims, anything, you will always feel cold. And then this happens. Then Wordsworth's lyrical ballads is collection of 23 poems. We all know that. 4 by Coleridge, 19 by Wordsworth. Remember this thing that first 20 poems deals with industrial revolution. First 20 poems deal with industrial revolution. Then in book Prelude, there are some important points that I'm going to tell you. The very first thing, remember this point, this is very important. Prelude, written by William Wordsworth, published 1850. Written 1805, published 1850 by his wife Sarah Hutchinson, deals with the childhood of Wordsworth and his young age. It's autobiographical, written in 13 books, and when it was published, there were 14 books. So it was written in 13 books. When it got published, there were 14 books. Now, the things that you have to remember. The important books are the book number 4. He writes about his first summer vacation. So Wordsworth talks about his first summer vacation in the book 4 of Prelude. Then, book 5. Wordsworth remembers a dream of a friend has told him the dream of Arab having a shell and rock, which represents book. He hurries to bury the book of earth's destruction before the destruction of earth. So the dream of Wordsworth that the earth will be destroyed, there will be a destruction of earth, appears in book 5. Then book 7th, Wordsworth is graduated from college and he learns to enjoy his surroundings. Then book number 9, Wordsworth goes to France. In book number 9, he talks about his journey to France. Book number 10, Return from France, and moreover, in book number 11, there is a final version of describing his feelings from war. So अगर फ्रेंच रिवॉल्यूशन का जो रेफरेंस डालना है तो बुक नंबर 11 में मिलेगा, आपको वहाँ पे चेक करना पड़ेगा. सेकेंड थिंग, जॉर्जियन पोइट्स. वी गोना टॉक अबाउट जॉर्जियन पोइट्स. जॉर्जियन पोइट्स कौन से हैं? The poets whose works appeared in the series of 5 anthologies named as Georgian poetry are known as Georgian poets. So दो जॉर्जियन पोइट्स होते हैं. एक तो जॉन कीट्स के टाइम के आते हैं, आफ्टर दिस प्री रोमांटिक में आते हैं. प्री रोमांटिक में वो इतने इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है. जॉर्जियन पोइट्स हैं जो जॉर्जियन एंथोलॉजी में आए थे. राइटर्स पब्लिश इन 5 डिफरेंट एंथोलॉजी अंडर द टाइटल जॉर्जियन पोइट्री, उनको जॉर्जियन राइटर्स बोलते हैं. द मैगजीन वॉज पब्लिश्ड बाय हेरोल्ड मुनरो. Who published the magazine? Harold Munro. And who are the writers of Georgian group? The people are Edmund Blandon, Rupert Brooke, mostly war poets bhi hain, Robert Graves, D.H. Lawrence, Walter de la Mare, Siegfried Sassoon, G.K. Chesterton, W.H. Davis, John Masefield, John Drinkwater. The writers, they rejected the aestheticism and started supporting the classicism and modernism. जॉर्जियन राइटर्स ने एस्थेटिसिज्म को रिजेक्ट किया था और क्लासिसिज्म और मॉडर्निज्म को सपोर्ट किया था. तो इसको याद रखना है आपको. देन डायमॉक पोइट्स, DYMOCK, डायमॉक पोइट्स, अर्ली 20th century group of poets who made their home near the village of Dymock. Robert Frost, Rupert Brooke, John Drinkwater, Lascelles Abercrombie. These are the writers known as Dymock poets. Then what is Danrin School? DANRIN, Danrin School, a school of haikai poetry. Remember, Japanese school, Japanese poetry. A school of haikai poetry founded by Nishiyama Soin. Founded by Nishiyama Soin, NISHIAYAMA SOIN, 1605-1682. Danrin means talkative forest. This school moved away from the serious poetry to nature. Matsuo Basho was the famous member of this group. Matsuo Basho, मेरा एक वीडियो है बनारस में बनाया है मैंने चाइनीज राइटर्स पे, चाइनीज जापानीज राइटर्स पे, उसमें मात्सुओ बैशो आपको मिलेगा. Was the famous member of this group. Haikai no Renga is this famous work. Haikai no Renga, Haikai no Renga, Haikai no Renga. Next one, who are known as fireside poets. American group of 19th century are also known as the fireside poets. These writers are इन्हें household poets भी कहते हैं, इन्हें household poets and school room poets भी कहते हैं. Household poets and school room poets. The writers are H. W. Longfellow, William Cullen Bryant, John Greenleaf Whittier, James Russell Lowell, James Russell Lowell, Olive Wendell Holmes. These five writers, the first five writers who became really famous in Europe from America. उन्हें fireside poets कहते हैं. Rhymers Club, RHYMER, Rhymers Club, founded by W.B. Yeats and Ernest Rhys, RHYS, not more than an informal dining club. It was just an informal dining club. Other members were Arthur Symons, writer, Oscar Wilde, writer. Both are the writers. Then we have a group which is not very important for GATE, but I will read it for you. It's not very important. Akhmatova's Orphans. ये आपने सुना नहीं होगा, बहुत सारे लोगों ने नहीं सुना होगा. When I was reading, when I was preparing, मैंने बहुत कुछ पढ़ा था. As I told you ना, when I was preparing, I didn't have any option to be failed in exam. मुझे fail नहीं होना था. मुझे ये था कि कैसे भी बस मुझे पास होना है. I just wanted to pass the exam at any cost. So I studied a lot of things which was sometimes important, not important. I was just ready for any question that comes in exam. So I studied Akhmatova's Orphan. Not even a single question has been asked in it. But Akhmatova's Orphans are the group of Russian writers. They were following a lady writer. Her husband was an activist. उसे Akhmatova भी कहते हैं. Akhmatova's Orphans. तो इसका remember the name, but no need to read so that you can remember it. I'll tell you some other names also that I studied, but you don't have to read it. For example, Hungryalist. You know, the group of Bengali writers, Hungryalist. Then we have Dark Romanticism. In Dark Romanticism, 19th century American movement and reaction to Transcendentalism. So there was a reaction to Transcendentalism. Everybody talks about Transcendentalism. You can talk about Dark Romanticism. 19th century American movement in reaction to Transcendentalism. Edgar Allan Poe, Nathaniel Hawthorne, and Herman Melville were the member of this thing. Then I studied Pragativadi Vichardhara, Pragativadi Dhara from Punjabi writers group. I studied Prayogshil Leher of S.S. Misha and other writers. I studied the Castilian band for my exams. I studied Prakalpana movement, the another Bengali movement. Then performance poetry. All of these things that have been studied by me. Then now something which is very important for you all is New York School. A gay friendly movement. Leftist poet writers का gay friendly movement है. John Ashbery was the writer. Frank O'Hara was the member. इसको इग्नोर कर सकते हैं, इतना इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं है बिकॉज ये क्वियर थ्योरी का लिए इंपॉर्टेंट है. फॉर नेट इट इज इंपॉर्टेंट, नॉट फॉर गेट. इट्स नॉट फॉर गेट. सिल्वर फॉर्क स्कूल, दिस इज इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर यू. आई एम यूजिंग माई ओल्ड नोटबुक्स तो मैं आपको बता सकता हूँ. Silver Fox School was called fashionable novel schools 19th century genre depicting the lives of upper class. In Victorians, everybody talks about poor class, everybody talks about the labor class, everybody talks about the poverty, unemployment, corruption, trouble. One group of writers talks about the life of aristocrats, rich people, how the rich people used to live, and that is called Silver Fox School. Remember with the silver fork, चांदी के चम्मच से याद रखना. So, repeating again, they were called the group of fashionable novels, 19th century genre, depicting the lives of upper class from 1820 to 1840s. They dominated this Victorian society. Famous writers are Theodore Hook, Benjamin Disraeli, Bulwer Lytton, Catherine Gore. The term silver fog was coined by William Hazlitt in an article, The Dandy School of 1827. Carlyle, in his famous book Sartor Resartus and Thackeray in Vanity Fair and Pendennis, has criticized the Silver Fox School. Very important point. Next one we have is the Satanic School of Poetry, a term by Robert Southey to a class of writers headed by Byron and Shelley. He believed that production were characterized by satanic spirit of pride and audacious impiety, coined by Southey in A Vision of Judgment. Satanic school was coined by Robert Southey, in his famous work A Vision of Judgment in 1821, talking about the poetry school of Byron and Shelley. Carlyle has criticized Byron for his anti-hero, Byronic hero. Byronic hero बहुत important character है. Fleshly School of Poetry, the name given by Robert Buchanan to pre-Raphaelite poetry for their immoral content. It was replied by Daisy Rossetti in Stealthy School of Criticism. Swinburne in Under the Microscope targeted Robert Buchanan. फ्लैशली स्कूल ऑफ पोइट्री जो वर्ड है वो किसने यूज किया था? रॉबर्ट बुकानन ने, अंडर द स्यूडोनिम ऑफ थॉमस मेटलैंड. और टारगेट किया था किसको? प्री राफेलाइट को. प्री राफेलाइट वाज टारगेटेड बाय थॉमस मेटलैंड. एक्चुअल नेम वाज रॉबर्ट बुकानन. Then it was replied by D.Z. Rossetti under the title Stealthily Criticism, Stealthily School of Criticism, and Swinburne also replied under the microscope in his famous work Under the Microscope. It's been a long time I didn't revise this. Wow, these are very important ones. I studied mystery poets, I studied the movement, I studied sung poetry, objectivist, Parnassian poets. Parnassian poets are the group of France, a group of 19th century French poets named after the journal Parnassie Contemporain. It had Sully Prudhomme, Paul Verlaine, Theodore Banville members. A French school, and no need to read. Then we go for Auden group, what is known as Auden group, 20th century poetry group. W.H. Auden, Louis MacNeil, C.D. Lewis, Stephen Spender, Christopher Isherwood, Rex Warner, they were all from the schools of Cambridge and Oxford and are known as Auden group. Auden group are modern poets also known as Mac Sponday, Macspaunder, MAC Mac, SPA SPA, फिर SPAUNDAY. The term coined by Roy Campbell in his Talking Bronco 1946. ऐसे क्वेश्चन आएंगे आपके. Max Pondy term has been coined by Roy Campbell in his famous work Talking Bronco 1946. Just look at this in my old notebook. See, I have to read it once again. Akhmat was orphan, so extra points. Auden group. This will help you. बहुत सारा पढ़ना होता है, बहुत सारा. I studied flower poetry of 20th century. क्या क्या नहीं पढ़ा था मैंने अपने लिए. When I was preparing, I studied everything. Flower poetry, fugitives. Fugitives, I tell you in theory, it's a group of poets who came to Vanderbilt University together at 1920. They published a magazine, Fugitives. It is remarkable in the history of American letters. J.C. Ransom, Alan Tate, Marshall Moore are related poets. Fugitives हम न्यू क्रिटिसिज्म के राइटर्स को भी कहते हैं. ये वही लोग हैं, J.C. Ransom and all. इंफॉर्मेशनिस्ट पोइट्री भी है बट इतना इम्पोर्टेंट नहीं है. और बहुत सारी पोइट्रीज हैं जो जिनको कर सकते हैं. आई स्टडीड 50+ पोइट्री ग्रुप्स फॉर माई पेपर. अपने पेपर के लिए बहुत कुछ पढ़ा था मैंने. When you go through your own old notebook, you remember those days, you are reminded of those days. I was reading nominalism. At the time, I could afford only, this kind of notebook, simple notebook, the black one, cheaper ones, with more pages, so that I can write everything. And I'll tell you one of my bad habits. I have a habit of writing at the back of the paper, back of the copy. I utilize this side also to write notes. See, T.E. Lawrence, famous as Lawrence of Arabia, has written the Seven Pillars of Wisdom. Anthony Burgess, Earthly Powers. Julian Barnes, England, England, a satire on England. Flaubert's Parrot deals with his life of Gustave Flaubert, the history of the world in 10.5 chapters, mocking of rewriting of history. William Boyd, famous for his comic novel Good Man in Africa. Charles Palliser, American. He uses Victorian England for selling his novels. The Quinn Comics, The Sensationalists, The Betrayals. Rebecca West, Return of the Soldier, The Meaning of Treason. Barbara Pym, Excellent Women. So imagine I used to write things in the last page of, this is, in bad condition, dilapidated condition. But I used to write things here. I used to like save pages. I used to take pending works, mythology, writing degree zero, elements of semiology, these kind of things. Decline and fall of Roman Empire, Roman ideals, Afel Lucas, 1100 definitions of Romanticism. Afel Lucas gave the 11,396 definitions of Romanticism in his famous work Decline and Fall of Romantic Ideals. You can know all these kind of questions. The pages are dry as dust. The term given by Walter Scott, is a fictitious character Dr. Jones, dry and dust. Scott addresses his preface to him in many of his words. What if somebody questions what is dry as dust? So we'll know all these things. Then my painting works like what exactly you have to read. So my list, Color Purple, you have to read. Prime of Miss Jean Brodie, you have to read. French Lieutenant's Women, Ladies Not for Burning, Sister Carrie, Arms of Man, Peter Pan, The Power and Glory, James Fraser, The Grass is Singing. All of these works I have to read. History of Mr. Polly, Howard's End, Nostromo, The White Devil, The Was, Juno the Peacock, Morris, Caretaker, Nigger of Narcissus, Whitsun Weddings, The Great Exhibition, Crystal Palace, William Paxton, Lisa Parnavko. Nahum Tate is published in 1707, published The Injured Love, an adaptation of Webster's White Devil. The good old days. I have a bad habit of writing in the back side of the pages. And when I write something on the back of the page, it's very important. Then only I write it. Sri Lankan writers have studied. Ramesh Gunashekhara from Sri Lanka, a Sri Lankan diasporic writer. First book was Monkfish Moon, collection of stories that provide narrative for the political upheaval in Sri Lanka. His famous novel Reef, asked in NET exam, is first novel. It describes the childhood and development of the age of Triton, a restaurant from Sri Lanka. Triton, after burning down a roof in his schoolyard, ran away and finds himself a servant to Mr. Salgado, a wealthy marine biologist. Under the service of Mr. Salgado, Triton grows up, becomes an expert chef, and witnesses the destruction of his country. Triton and Mr. Salgado flee to England, but ultimately Mr. Salgado returns to Sri Lanka. Triton lives in England and survives. The Sandglass of 1998 has written by him. Heaven's Edge written by him. 2006 The Match written by him. रमेश गुणशेखर. आपको आज काफ़ी चीज़ मिल गई हैं. आज ये माइक ढूंढने के चक्कर में काफ़ी लेट हो गई क्लास. There are so many things that I have to read and revise. Even I'm revising all these things. So make sure I've given you the important details. Please use the video, write down those things. इनको कर लो. और अभी एक चीज़ और याद रखना कि मेरे पास एक मैसेज आया था बच्चे का गेट का कि देयर आर सो मेनी पीपल गाइडिंग अबाउट गेट. When I started telling that there is an exam known as GATE, people had no idea. So now everybody will claim that I am the GATE expert, I am the GATE expert. Okay, but remember this thing that they even didn't know it. I knew this concept of GATE exam like around 2 months before my own announcement. I was just waiting for the right moment. And when I announced it, I told a student how to fill the form. Others didn't even know those things. But now, why they are claiming they are GATE experts? Because they know that there are potential students. So you just have to go for a wallpaper. You just have to go for telling us that I am GATE expert, and we can get admission. Who the hell is responsible to make them fill the form? Who the hell is responsible to know the details? But do not get troubled, okay? The gate exam, nobody can be experienced. Even I'm not experienced for gate exam. I just use my experience of net. I help you to fill the form. I help you to understand what it is. And now we will also see the paper, that what kind of paper they are going to give. And that's the reason I'm going to appear. I'm also going to appear in gate exam on 14th of Feb. My center is in Mumbai. So हम भी कुछ सीख के आएंगे. मुझे भी अभी कुछ पता नहीं इसकी बहुत ज़्यादा क्या होने वाला है, वो देख के पता लगेगा. The real experience will come once I sit in the exam. So I'll see it, I'll share it with you. और पढ़ते रहो, और साथ साथ रिविजन, दैट्स द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग. रिविजन, the most important writers, the most important books, the most important dates. When you read a particular topic, top writers, top books, top dates, they are very very important. Revise करते रहो. Add revision, because hardly 7 days are left, 6 to 7 or 10 days are left. Make sure you revise everything. Revision can help you to survive in the exam. And gate exam will not be tough, but you have to handle negative marking. आपको negative marking handle करनी है, means if you mug up but it's not very sure to you in the exam, negative marking can destroy you. If you have mugged up and you are very prepared and you remember everything in the exam, negative marking cannot trouble you. So focus on revision now. This is the time to revise. Chalo then, you study. Thank you. Bye bye.